Oh my gosh, we had such heavy movies this month. We had Agnes of God, Seven, there was Flight Plan, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but whatever. The first two were pretty rough. And now we have a silly kids movie, which honestly I'm kind of entirely here for. We're covering Hotel Transylvania 2 today. I've seen this film before, went in with already having opinions on it, but it was just very nice to take a break from all of that lovely, depressing murder stuff. So here we are. Before we get too far into the video, let's go ahead and hit the box office stats and a quick recap of the film. With a budget of $80 million, Hotel Transylvania 2 generated an overall domestic revenue of $169,700,110 at the box office. This gang of ghouls also came out on top in monthly revenue as well, with its September earnings at $55,753,944. Like I said in the last video, when spooky season approaches, people start going crazy for the spookier movies, kids movies included. It shouldn't come as a surprise that Hotel Transylvania 2 is, in fact, a sequel, but this time around we have Mavis and Johnny's son Dennis, vampire name Denisovich, at the center of our story. At 4 years old, Dennis hasn't yet gotten his vampire fangs, something that happens to every vampire before they're 5, and Mavis considers moving to California to keep her presumably human son safe from the monstery world of Transylvania. Afraid he'll lose both his grandson and daughter to the US West Coast, Dracula and his friends band together on a crazy adventure to make sure Dennis transforms into a vampire before it's too late. Now on to the opinions.
Sorry to bother you. Love your chocolate cereal.
I was a huge fan of the first Hotel Transylvania movie. I've done a Mavis closet cosplay, which I bring out for a lot more conventions than I thought I would whenever I threw this thing together, but I love her so much. So whenever this movie came out, I just got so excited. And honestly, I'm gonna be one of those people, I didn't like it as much as the first one. And I kind of expected that was gonna be the case, but I still had an okay time with it. I think for me, this one was a better watch the second time around. It's an okay kids film, it's fine. I personally liked Minions more, which is odd for me to say because I never thought I'd be like, oh yeah, Minions movie. I don't know, they're just both extremely silly, but I guess I am leaning more towards the nonsense of the Minions than I am this one. Dracula is just as crazy and pushy as the first film. I love Mavis. I wish she'd gotten more screen time, but I'm extremely biased because, like, Mavis as a character, she makes my ex-goth feelies feel really good. And I also love Selena Gomez. I've been a fan of hers since Wizards of Waverly Place, so the character can do no wrong for me. Adam Sandler just brings the level of crazy needed for Dracula in this. And we've got a huge cast of just comedians, so you know it's gonna be wild and crazy, even for a kid's movie. We have Kevin James as Frankenstein, Andy Samberg as Jonathan, Steve Buscemi as Wayne, Nick Offerman is in this as Johnny's father. They even got in Keegan-Michael Key to replace CeeLo Green as Murray, the mummy, since apparently CeeLo Green got arrested. People liked Keegan-Michael Key enough, or he brought in enough views, that he's been in Hotel Transylvania 2 through 4. So it's wild and crazy. They go on a whole bunch of crazy adventures together, including, but not limited to, throwing Blobby, the giant jello monster, basically, off of a cliff, throwing Dennis off of a giant rickety-ass platform to hope that he is somehow able to, even though he's shown no signs of turning into a bat before he's 5 years old, before Mavis has them end up moving to California. And the movie is just the whole, I guess, dichotomy of new parents versus older parents. Dracula is so used to being like, here, throw a hatchet at your kid, they'll turn into a bat and fly away, like, no stress. That's how I was brought up, it'll be fine. And then Mavis is very much, has the valid concern that, you know, you can't throw a hatchet at your kid, or at least her kid, because right now her kid is in the human state. He's not turned into a vampire yet, so he may not be able to avoid the hatchet. So Dracula's like, yeah, just tough love. Nothing mean. You know, he's very much dotes on Denisovich the entire film, like loves him dearly, just as much as he loves Mavis. He's just of the old way, if you will. Granted, he's also several hundred years old, so that may have something to do with that as well. But Mavis, you know, she's a new mom, first kid. She is giving him more of a human upbringing. She's not trying to force the monster out of him, if you will. She's just being very gentle, very overprotective, I'm not gonna lie. But again, first, new mom, so I can't really blame her too much. She's not the most overbearing, like, helicopter mom I've seen portrayed in media or in real life, but, you know, just very, like, gotta make sure my baby's safe. And Dracula's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna push him off of a tall-ass building. It's gonna be okay. So that's where a lot of the drama, I guess, stems from. Honestly, Mavis is one of my favorite kids movie characters ever. She is so fucking cute. Like, the sequel isn't necessarily what I would have liked to see. For me, because again, extremely biased here, and I know that, I would have loved to see a sequel where she's exploring and seeing the worlds. Like, she gets to go see Hawiwi, all of these places she's wanted to see, and I'm sure that Dracula would have, like, forced himself upon the trip out into the human world along with the rest of the gang, so you would still have all of your crazy, silly stuff. And they could still hit, like, the same story beat of her feeling out of place in the human world. I've just never been a huge fan of, like, the child rearing stuff. Extremely biased. What we got in this film was completely and totally fine. Not my cup of tea, but fine. I just wanted to see more Mavis. I will say, one of the things that I absolutely love about Dennis, even though child rearing stuff, like I said, is not my cup of tea, is his hair. That may sound weird, but as a curly girl, someone with insane curls as well, I loved his freaking hair. He was supposed to have even more hair, but apparently the animators had just such a hard time trying to make sense of everything, which is completely and totally valid. The scene where Dracula kind of pushes Dennis's hair back and then it just pops up and Murray screams and kind of like jumps back. I'm like, I feel that. I feel that so hard. Curls are just so hard to maintain IRL and in the animation space, but they said it just got like really awkward to have to handle, especially in scenes where where Dennis is getting hugged. It wasn't working. And I'm like, yeah, you've had a taste of how it feels. Honestly, it was an okay kids movie. It really was, until, for me, definitively, is when we get to Grandpa Vladimir, Dracula's dad and Dennis's vampire, self-proclaimed vampire grandpa. I didn't have a problem with Grandpa Vlad himself. It was the man-bats. Vlad was just an even more dramatic extension or severe extension of Dracula's teaching. He still hates humans because he's been holed up in a cave, so he hasn't been out in the rest of the world to see that humans and monsters have been coexisting pretty fine, all things considered. The tipping point in conflict is him telling Dracula, yeah, find the thing that the kid loves and then use it to scare the shit out of him. Like, warp the thing until it terrifies him, and then he'll react by having his fangs or turn into a bat or whatever. He'll finally turn into a vampire. Which, actually taking a moment, the way things pan out by the end of the film, he wasn't wrong. They use his favorite TV show, human TV show, which is Cakey, which is essentially Cookie Monster, but with cake. Kids got an excellent taste. Cake? Hell yeah, we love cake. But they use Cakey to scare the crap out of him, which Dracula is like, nah, I love him too much for that, let's not do it. But throughout the film, there's also the thread that they keep laying down where Dennis is like, I love Batman. Batman's so cool. He's like the best superhero ever. And at the end, they're attacked by Vlad's gang of man-bats. They're anthropomorphic bats. So at the end, Bella, the lead man-bat, kidnaps Dennis and Winnie, one of Dennis's werewolf friends. Dennis finally turns. So you've got this kid that hasn't really seen what a man-bat is, so he's sitting there thinking, oh, look at that giant Batman. Oh my gosh, Batman. So it wasn't superhero Batman that, you know, they directly warped, but there is a Batman that's attacking him and his friends. So was Vlad wrong? No. Was he entirely right in going through and being like, yep, you just gotta use what you love to push him over the edge? No, but you see what I'm saying? You're picking up what I'm putting down. You got it. The thing that I also love about Vlad's character is that he's voiced by Mel Brooks, and I love Mel Brooks films. And apparently, the director of this film, Genndy Tartakovsky, he, whenever he first immigrated from Russia to America, he was obsessed with a few of Mel Brooks' films, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, and a few other. But he very much wanted to have Mel Brooks play Vlad, and he was like super nervous in like directing him because he's like, this guy knows his stuff. And Mel Brooks was like, nah, man, you're the director. You got to tell me what to do. And he's like, it was just a really cool experience. I'm like, that's even more awesome that they got him to come on for this film. I loved that. I loved all of the crazy little references in it as well. We had Keiki, the Cookie Monster reference kind of deal. Johnny's vampire outfit was totally based off of Gary Oldman's aged, elderly Dracula outfit from the movie Bram Stoker's Dracula. Even Bella's name, the Man-Bat, the lead Man-Bat, is in reference to actor Bela Lugosi, who played Dracula, Igor, and Frankenstein's monster in a few of the Universal Pictures horror films. Like, they even have the freaking Phantom of the Opera, who, honestly, I think that's my other big gripe for me with this film, was Phantom of the Opera. I'm just like, shush, we don't need you in here. We get what's going on. You can just leave. But I loved all of the tiny little references, and I caught even more watching it the second time. But yeah, the Phantom of the Opera, and then, like I said earlier, I went off on a little tirade. Whenever the Man-Bats come in, that's kind of when I started checking out. I didn't really like when the Man-Bats were involved because they were just a level of Angie hype that, again, it's a kid's movie, so it works for kids, but for me, who's a grown-ass adult, I'm like, okay, this is a little bit too much. This is a little bit too much. Not a problem with Vlad so much. I thought really it was when Vlad came in that I had an issue with it. Recalling it from the first time around, but no, it was the Man-Bats. And Grandpa Vlad, he came around really quickly too. Again, kids movie, but like, you a bro, my guy. Your Man-Bats, not so much. Glad you decided to make better friends. Really, it was the Man-Bats and then the Phantom of the Opera. I could have lived without both of those. We wanted to not make Family the villain, right? So we had to make his evil bat cronies the villains, so that way we can have cool Grandpa Vlad in later films. Overall, not too bad to watch. I've seen better kids films, better animated films, but I still didn't have too bad of a time. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I've only seen the first and second one, so if like the third or fourth are worth watching, definitely let me know. I'm a little bit hesitant to watch those, but if y'all think that it's a good one, by all means, let me know so I can go watch it. And I will see you guys back in 1985.